Scott Wheeler.
Mhm. And how do you spell that?
Wheeler.
Great. And Scott's Scott.
Correct, I'm sorry.
That's great, just to make sure. What do you do professionally?
What I do professionally is I sell real estate, and I've been selling real estate in Tropic Isle for 11 years now.
And what do you do on Memorial Day?
On Memorial Day, I get 400 flags, and I go throughout the whole neighborhood, putting them in everybody's yard. And I started a year ago, and I started 10 years ago, and now I've been doing it every year since.
Mhm. So what does that entail? How do you do that?
I get up early on Saturday morning, and I just start on the south side of the neighborhood, and work my way towards the north, and I get all the flags put in, usually by the end of the day Saturday.
The first time around, you must have been worried a little bit about trespassing problems or something like that, or maybe you weren't.
At that time, I wasn't. I really realized that there's one thing all Americans can agree on is freedom. So I had a lot of people come out and talk to me, and I had a lot of veterans come out and talk about what they did in the service. So I had a lot of support, and I've really never considered anything trespassing.
Yeah, and so and we hope we now raise the idea.
Right.
Have you ever had any complaints, or anyone ever complained about this activity?
Not one complaint in 10 years. It's been very good. Yeah.
So you said you did the first time, you did the first, Memorial Day, and then it just stayed. So how did it gather momentum and kept going?
Well, after the first year, I got a lot of positive reinforcement from neighbors. So after that, I couldn't really quit. So I thought, well, I'll try it another year. And then it just kept going and going. And then this year, I just realized it'd been 10 years.
Why Memorial Day? There's something significant about that in particular?
Yeah, both of my grandfathers were in World War II. I had two uncles in Vietnam, and my brother and I were in the military. So I come from a military family.
And so when you think about the flag and Memorial Day, what does it all mean to you?
It just means that, the fact that we've got so many people taking some time out of their lives to fight for our freedom. It's really important that I try to remember them on Memorial Day.
So it must take some time to put these all out.
It does. The first couple of years, I was scratching my head wondering why I was doing this, but over the course of the years, I've really started to enjoy it.
And you mentioned that there was one year, it was a Memorial Day, the weather was really bad.
Correct. It was about 3 years ago. We had torrential rains through the whole Memorial Day weekend, so I had to move the date to 4th of July. I had 400 flags, and I didn't want them to sit in the garage for a year.
So 400 flags, that seems like a lot. What's the sort of the cycle of flags? You said most people keep their flags, I guess.
Yeah, some yards, some people, when I go back to their yard for Memorial Day, I'll see that they've collected some of the flags I've left in the past, and they'll have several in their yard, but I always add one for them.
Where do you get the flags from?
I get them online, different suppliers. If you order them early enough, you get a nice savings.
Good. Any kind of reason in particular, like this neighborhood? Why this neighborhood?
Well, I moved here in 2012, and I've gotten to know a lot of the neighbors. It's just a really nice place to live. So I figured if I'm going to do it in a neighborhood, I should do it in the one I live in.
And so when you were making up the map and you were choosing blocks and things like that, any sort of considerations come into play really, or just kind of really worked out pretty easily for you?
Yeah, the first year I ordered the 400 flags, and I just started through the neighborhood and ended up at the end, and I didn't have any flags left.
That's great. I'm just sort of thinking if there's anything that I forgot to ask, or maybe there's anything you want to mention before we kind of wrap up the interview.
No, I just really appreciate you coming out.
Sure.
Really nice of you to come out, and it's just nice. I hope everybody thinks about maybe their family members that were in the military, mother, father, son, brother, and just for a minute, just think about them on Memorial Day.
Yeah. So that must have been like a big part of the motivation. You did the first. Well, you had the idea. How did the idea come apart about to do the first?
Well, actually, I had seen it in a promotional magazine where people were putting out flags to advertise for themselves, but I didn't think it was a good idea to put my name or use the flag for advertisements. I just wanted to do it because I was a veteran and wanted to support Memorial Day.
Yeah. So that's why it really sort of struck you that that would be a good activity, as because of your own
Correct. And there are veterans in the neighborhood, and I like to hear their stories. They come out, they usually tell me the same story every year, but I listen to it.
That's so good. Hold on just a second there. I'm going to get a shot or two here to sort of go with everything.
Sure.